esteemed guests, distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, I would first like to thank the organizers for the kind invitation and for the opportunity to address this year's Eastern Mediterranean Business Summit. My contribution is divided in three parts. I will firstly refer to Cyprus' foreign policy approach and how a triangle of intertwined relations is at its core: the EU, the wider MENA region, and the axis of Greece, Israel, and the United States. The last part will be the second topic I will focus on. And thirdly, I will refer to the aims and targets that will enable the forward movement and substantial deepening of those relations. My conclusion will be that Cyprus can be the anchor for stability, a facilitator of regional dialogue and cooperation, and at the epicenter of the EastMed energy corridor. Let me start by setting the framework. Cyprus' foreign policy revolves around our comparative advantages: geography, the blessing of natural resources, our membership of the European Union, and our excellent relations with states in our region. The objective is to magnify our foreign policy fingerprint beyond Cyprus' size. And for this, there is always one significant prerequisite, and that is credibility. Currently, this passes through Ukraine. And our approach as regards that leaves no doubt as to the fact that we are on the right side of history. The EU and, of course, Cyprus remain strongly united in support of Ukraine for as long as it takes. Indicatively, Cyprus hosts the most refugees from Ukraine than any other EU member state in proportionate terms, making up 2% of the population and at a cost of over 40 million euros for the current year. Cyprus also fully participates in all 11 sanction packages against Russia, and our policy remains fully aligned with that of the EU on this matter. Undoubtedly, we are all paying a cost for Russia's illegal act of aggression. For Cyprus, the impact was both economic and political. Yet we managed to adjust and match the challenge. To this end, American and Israeli investment has been a contributing factor. Politically, we are at risk because Russia, as a permanent member of the UN Security Council, has traditionally supported Cyprus in that forum. However, the US has stepped up, and we hope that this will continue. This brings me to the triangle of relations that formulate our foreign policy: the EU, our region, and our strategic partnerships. As to the first, Cyprus is an EU member state, and this is the most significant achievement in our history. We also have the closest geographical proximity to the MENA region, but geography on its own is not enough. We sincerely believe that we have the best understanding among Europeans of the very complex state of affairs in our region. This is reaffirmed whenever we meet counterparts from the Middle East or the Gulf, and also when at the EU we discuss issues pertaining to this region. Therefore, we try to support and make louder the voice of MENA in Brussels. And this enables us to act as a bridge between the region and Europe, and that, of course, creates opportunities. Moreover, Cyprus has excellent relations with almost all of our neighboring states. Within these metrics, there are special ties with certain countries, a strategic axis that includes the relations with Greece, with Israel, with Egypt, and recently with the United States. We consciously expanded the cooperation and dialogue from the bilateral to the regional level. Over the last decade, the focus has been on inclusivity, dialogue, and mini-regional mechanisms. The aim was to share advantages and to create those conditions that could be the catalyst for sectoral advancement. In fields like energy, security, defense, the economy, the trilateral arrangements offer the tool for expanding and reinforcing partnerships. The trilateral setting has, of course, a more important value than that. It enables political dialogue at the highest level. And this is, of course, the gateway for sectoral advancement. In this context, Israel is a key strategic partner. Our relation has depth of substance, it is secure, and goes well beyond what the eye can see. Security, intelligence, defense, energy, trade, people-to-people connection, flight connectivity, all these are integral part of our strong ties. This is something we cherish and which we must safeguard at all costs for two reasons. It's the result of hard work and honesty, and it also offers amazing opportunities for our joint future. Since taking office in March, that is 5 months ago almost, we had 6 bilateral meetings at the highest level with Israeli counterparts, and this will continue. Dear friends, the future inevitably passes through the United States, and this is where our diaspora has offered amazing results. In the Cyprus-US relation, we have witnessed rapid progress. It can be stated that in bilateral terms, things have never been better. What was sorely needed was a structure that could make Cyprus part of the equation. And the first step in that direction took the form of the bilateral statement of intent on security and cooperation, which was signed in Washington in November 2018. Joint military training exercises and evacuation cooperation are now the norm. Another example has been the US-funded Cyprus-based Cyclops Center, which in just a year it has trained more than 1,000 officials from all over the world in port and maritime security. The biggest step, of course, has been the EastMed Act. With the help of many of you, Cyprus' status as a strategic partner received a significant boost. Senator Menendez led the effort, which resulted in the lifting of the US arms embargo against Cyprus, which was in place since 1987. We are now at the point where the annual renewal of the lifting of the ban must be sidelined. Good relations with such great potential suffer from such clauses that keep the long-term planning constrained. Reference to key steps in the near future must also include the visa waiver. It will pave the way for further collaboration in business, tourism, and education with positive impact on the public's perception of the United States. I already made reference to the invaluable commodity that is political signaling. At this point, please allow me to state the fact that I find to be unfortunate. And that is that the last time a Cypriot president visited the White House was in 1996. This must change. That being said, the 3+1 mechanism is a key for expanding the agenda and for making sure that the process of cooperation accelerates. When I hosted the last trilateral at the level of Ministers of Foreign Affairs in March this year, we decided to send a joint letter to Secretary of State Blinken, inviting him to our next meeting to take place in the region this year. This, we believe, will reaffirm political intentions and will accelerate further cooperation. We also expressed our interest for joining the workings of the Abraham Accords and the Negev Forum in areas like climate change, cybersecurity, and emergency response. We are at a critical juncture and we need to expand rather than shrink. Energy is a key factor in that. The Cypriot Exclusive Economic Zone is for some time now a point of reference as regards energy corridors, energy autonomy, and strategic depth. This is a parameter with geostrategic importance, with gas, green transition, electricity, and renewables all being in the mix of our planning. In this regard, we are not excluding anyone, as long as a cardinal principle is followed. full, unconditional adherence to international law, with absolute commitment to the rules-based international order and with no room for revisionist claims. This is a lesson we learned from the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and we are not allowed to have double standards in that respect. Dear friends, the Eastern Mediterranean has been described as the central core of an arc of crisis. Personally, I prefer to present it as a region of endurance inhabited by survivors. I cannot imagine any other part of the world with such complex history, traumas, and in a constant state of a looming crisis from remaining relevant and full of such potential. The future, through a win-win vision, dialogue and cooperation, is bright. Let us all join in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Minister. I think we've got a very short amount of time, but maybe I can put one or maybe two questions to you. So you focused very much in your speech on the 3+1, on the partnerships, on what you see as the next steps for taking those partnerships further in the coming year. But one country wasn't mentioned by name, and that was your neighbour, Turkey. So I just wanted to really ask you about that, something we heard a lot about, obviously, from Senator Menendez. So I just wanted to ask you, how do you expect relations with Turkey to evolve over the coming year? What do you think are the key issues really on the agenda? Is there any prospect at all of a resumption of UN-led negotiations and so on?
Yes. How Turkey will react in the near future on a number of issues is a million-dollar question. We are all asking that, whether it's Sweden, whether it's NATO, whether it's Syria, on a number of issues. For us, the Cyprus question is an existential matter, and we believe sincerely that we don't have any more time to waste. We have taken the initiative trying to resume the negotiations from the point where they stopped in Grand Montana in 2017. In that direction, we have tried, we have spent time, diplomatic effort, diplomatic capital to put the Cyprus question back on the agenda. And in the current climate, with everything that is happening in the region and beyond, the fact that the Cyprus question has been included in the EU conclusions a few days ago, the fact that the EU-Turkey relation is something to be reported upon in the next EU Council in autumn, this for us is something that we believe is important. That being said, there are no certainties with Turkey. At the end of the day, we all have to wait and see how they will react to our initiative, how the UN will take a position in relation to that. We want to remain optimistic that the negotiations at some point will resume. For us, this is a goal for which we will not stop working towards achieving it. Turkey has a decision to make, and we are going to try and to create the conditions so that we are back at the negotiating table.
Okay, thank you very much. And well, just to sneak in another question, you did mention a few things in your opening remarks about how you envisage next steps and how these relations, particularly with the US, can be deepened, that you would like to see Mr. Blinken visit the region and attend your regional forum. A visit of the President to the White House would be a signal as well, an important signal of the importance of this region for the US. But on your particular agenda over the next 12 months, what realistically do you think is possible to achieve in taking this relationship further?
Political signaling, as I already said, is something that is extremely important. It paves the way for the next steps, steps that will be leading to tangible results. The 3+1 participation of the United States at the level of Secretary of State Blinken would be, I believe, a very strong signal exactly in that direction. We have the issue with the arms embargo, and this is something that sooner rather than later should be dealt with. There cannot be any future planning, any long-term planning in relation to defense policy if you have an annual review of that ban. This is something that for us is extremely important. We believe that we have proven to be a loyal, trustworthy ally of the United States. This is a relationship where we have proved our intentions, whether that is Ukraine, whether that is our response to the secondary sanctions imposed by the UK and the United States on a number of fronts. So we believe that the time is ripe for a positive signaling from the United States. The arms embargo and the visa waiver are two issues that are in our agenda at the very, very top.
Thank you. So I think that's very clear. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but we really do appreciate you joining us for this discussion this morning.